Okay, one, two, three.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Dear audience, welcome to Astana Alia Maikia. This is Muhammad Ibrahim Khokhar presenting you the sonnets of Shakespeare. And from today, we will start sonnets of Shakespeare in order. Uh, Today, we will read sonnet 1 of Shakespeare, that is known as "From Fairest Creatures We Desire Increase." So sonnet is presented before you. I will read sonnet and then we will be talking on its explanation. Shakespeare writes, "From fairest creatures we desire increase, that thereby beauty rose might never die, but as the riper should by time decrease. His tender hair might bear his memory, but though contracted to thine own bright eyes, feedest thy light's flame with self-substantial fuel, making a famine where abundance lies. Thyself thy foe, thyself thy foe to thy sweet self too cruel, though that art now the world's fresh ornament, and only herald to the godding spring. Within thy own bud burst thy content, and tender churl makest vast in niggarding. Pity the world, or else this glutton be. Pity the world, or else this glutton be, to eat the world's due by the grave and thee. So, gentlemen, these 14 lines are memorable lines. Let me tell you the background of the sonnet. Shakespeare's first 26 sonnets are supposed to be addressed to a character, a mysterious character that is known as Fair Youth. In these sonnets, Shakespeare addresses Fair Youth and requests him for procreation. Now, if we analyze this sonnet into modern lines, we come to know and find the traces of homosexuality in Shakespeare. And if we analyze these sonnets from Freudian context, we come to know that as if Shakespeare himself was sexually weak. That's why he encourages fair youth to procreate instead of taking himself as a source of procreation. He and then another explanation might be as if Shakespeare supports the idea that later on was propagated by George Bernard Shaw, where George Bernard Shaw had told us that only genius must be encouraged to procreate, so that the world must be full of genius. Now, keeping all these three things in our mind, we will read the explanation of Shakespeare in sonnet. Shakespeare says that from fairest creatures we desire increase. That we all, means all human beings, every sensual, every careful human being wants that beauty in this life must be increased. The poet has said that all men desire that the world grow more and more beautiful through increase of beautiful things. Now, what do we mean by beautiful things? From beautiful things, we mean beautiful flowers, beautiful animals, beautiful birds, beautiful human beings, so that the loveliness of beauty or beauty itself increase. And this is the major theme of Shakespearean writings. Shakespeare always insisted upon increasing and multiplying beauty. And then Shakespeare writes in this second line that thereby beauty's rose might never die. We must keep the flaming and the torch of beauty continuing, so that beauty should never die, beauty should never diminish. But as the riper should by thine decrease, his tender hair might bear his memory. Shakespeare now addresses to the fair youth in these two lines and tells that the time will come when beauty will decrease. So you must procreate so that this progeny continue, so that your beauty continue in the shape of your offsprings. Okay? And the concern of beauty, Shakespeare says that the beauty's rose might never die. Perhaps the poet here does not mean all sort of human beauties or graces or aesthetic qualities, such as delicate manners, fineness of speech, sublimity of friendship, etc., but only the beauty of the form of human beings. Now, this is not first time Shakespeare talks about this. In Hamlet, Shakespeare has given us a wonderful line about human beauty. He says that what a piece of work is a man, how noble in reason, how infinite in faculties, in form and moving, how express and admirable in action, how like an angel in apprehension, how like a god, the beauty of the world, the prerogative of animals. If the fair youth of the sonnet of the Earl of Pembrokeshire, then it may be probable that when Shakespeare was writing these lines for Hamlet, the Prince of Denmark, he had in his mind I, the model of the same Earl who was exquisitely beautiful. Means the source of carving out lines in Hamlet as well as in this sonnet were the same. Taking this sonnet further, the Shakespeare writes that the beauty of the fair youth now is like a fresh ornament of the world and is like the harbinger of the sweet, glittering, gaudy spring. Though that art now the world's fresh ornament, and only herald to the gaudy spring. But the youth is quite innocent about the importance of his own beauty. He is burying his own beauty within himself and is not intent upon propagating it for the joy of the world. He is like a flower bud that is stunning its own growth so that instead of blossoming, it is withering into itself. So Shakespeare represents it in a very beautiful, analogy. And Shakespeare tells us that within thy own bud buryest thy content, and tender churl maxed west in niggarding. Therefore, the poet feels offended and in disgust calls his friend, fair youth, a niggard, or an unwontedly thrifty or stingy person who does not like to spend or sow seeds for growing plants. So Shakespeare says that if you have been endowed with the gift of the beauty, it is your responsibility that you better, grow it. You better plant it into other saplings and continue it. Shakespeare said, "Pity the world, or else this glutton be to eat the world's due by the grave and thee." Shakespeare says that if this beauty doesn't continue, this would be great loss to the world. So those who are talented, those who are beautiful, those who possess, good qualities, they must continue these good qualities so that the world grow beautiful, so that the world grow, wonderful, so that this chain of events continue and world increase day by day. Thank you very much for watching.